Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Live at 4. We begin this Tuesday afternoon with breaking news.
We've just learned a Portage police officer is on leave and in jail. Maddie Heinz joins us with what he's accused of. Maddie?
Yeah, Officer Cameron Coronado is facing 1 count of physical abuse of a child, intentionally causing bodily harm, and 1 count of disorderly conduct in the form of domestic abuse. And according to a criminal complaint we got from the Columbia County Circuit Court, Coronado forcefully shoved a pacifier down the throat of his 6-month-old son, leaving the child bleeding from the mouth. Coronado's wife told police that as a result, the baby had trouble swallowing and seemed to be in pain. She brought the baby to the hospital where a CT scan revealed bleeding in the child's brain. Coronado's wife also told police that back in July, he threatened to, quote, kill those expletive kids when the couple's aforementioned baby and 4-year-old were crying. That night, the complaint alleges he left holes in the drywall outside their bedroom, punching and kicking the wall when she hid inside the room with the children. Now, this is all alleged by the criminal complaint, leading to Coronado facing those charges of physical abuse of a child and disorderly conduct by domestic abuse. The officer is now on paid administrative leave from the Portage Police Department and is currently booked in the Sauk County Jail. Now, Portage Police Chief Keith Klafke tells News 3 the officer's actions are not representative of the men and women serving in the department. A court date for Coronado's case has not yet been set.
Maddie, thank you. News 3 now will provide updates to this story as soon as we learn more. You can receive the news as it happens with the free Channel 3000 mobile app.
Well, today started off on a comfortable note. We had some cooler temperatures, but then that humidity crept back in. Here's a look at our first forecast with Jacob Montesano. Jacob?
Yeah, very dry across southern Wisconsin right now, a very welcoming sight. This has been the case throughout the entire day. Temperatures have also been pretty comfortable, a little bit warm at times, but overall upper 70s to lower 80s. The dew points are still, a little high, but not as high as they have been over the last couple of days. Where we saw those thunderstorms, upper 60s right now, and they are likely going to continue to fall a little bit as the air becomes a bit drier. Now, wind speeds also looking very calm right now, so a very quiet day really after that morning fog. Haven't really seen much, and this is going to be the story going forward. As we take a look at the evening forecast, very nice 70s with partly cloudy skies. As we head into the overnight hours, we're going to have low temperatures, a little bit above normal, but still not too close or not too far off from the norm, middle 60s. We will see some more fog tonight, but that fog will clear up by the time we get to the afternoon tomorrow. Highs in the middle 70s, so a little bit cooler. Still a good amount of cloud cover, but not really a chance of rainfall. And as I mentioned, the story going forward will be very quiet conditions and very nice weather. In fact, we actually may be seeing some cooler temperatures to the point where they may feel a little fall-like by next week. I'll talk more about that coming up a bit later.
Thank you, Jacob. Well, today, Democratic U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin visited La Follette High School to talk about the Trump administration's cuts to education funding. Local educators and leaders showed up to speak with Senator Baldwin about their school's needs. The administration proposed a freeze of millions of dollars to Wisconsin, some of which would have gone to Madison. After widespread backlash, the administration backed off and said it would release the funds. Schools have yet to receive that money, though, something Madison superintendent is taking note of.
I think this is still just a bit of what's to come in the future as well. The uncertainty, and that certainly undermines public education and who it's for, and something that I think about each and every day. Are we going to be able to sustain the great work that we're doing in our communities?
Superintendent Gothard says MMSD is working with the state to make sure it's abiding by the administration's rules in order to secure the funding that's needed for the already planned school year ahead.
Amid rising costs, State Senator Brad Pfaff wants to make back-to-school shopping more affordable for families. He's proposing a 3-day back-to-school sales tax holiday. During that time, Wisconsinites wouldn't pay some taxes on clothes and school supplies. There are similar programs in other states. Earlier this month, Iowa held its 2-day tax break, allowing shoppers there to get clothes and shoes under $100 without paying state or local taxes. If passed, the earliest the bill could take effect would be next school year. And speaking of, with the school year getting underway, the fall sports season is just just about to start.
And ahead of that, the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association has launched a program that'll support athletic departments. News 3 Now's Jalen Banks caught up with MMSD on how this will impact the district. Jalen.
Brady and Susan, athletic departments around the state will now get some extra help moving forward. The WIAA described the foundation as a booster club of sorts, and it's designed to support schools across the state. The foundation will cover expenses that aren't covered in normal budgets, so it'll pay for initiatives such as coaching development, referee training and certifications, and facility and equipment improvements. MMSD is one of the largest school districts and has one of the largest athletic departments in the state, meaning they have a lot of needs. And speaking to the district's athletic director, this foundation will be a huge help.
What it'll really do is hopefully kind of preserve education-based athletics as a framework. In general, as a member organization, will help preserve some of the tournament series types. As we see costs rise in everything, how can we still put on a high-level product for a tournament series?
MMSD has over 3,000 student athletes within the district, and make sure you tune into News 3 Now later this week. High school football kicks off on Thursday. Andrew Banster and our sports team will have you covered.
Thank you, Jalen. A new bill working its way through the state capitol would allow Wisconsinites who received gender-affirming care while they were minors the option to sue the doctors who provided that care.
Political reporter Will Keneally sat down with the bill's author, and he reports from the Capitol.
In Wisconsin, you can pass laws to create new ways to sue people. And that bill's author, Representative Amanda Nedweski, says that it's important because Wisconsinites didn't have this option before.
Children who are receiving so-called gender-affirming care as minors currently do not have a pathway to legal recourse if in the long term they experience harm as a result of that treatment. So the bill establishes a civil cause of action for minors when they turn 18 and beyond up until age 33. So it also expands the statute of limitations, basically says they have the right to sue if there's malfeasance or harm.
Some opponents of the bill say that Wisconsinites were all ready to sue doctors for medical malpractice, and this just perpetuates conservative propaganda. And we'll have more on this coming up tonight at 6, but for now, reporting in the state capitol, Will Keneally, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Will. A leading children's health group is breaking with the CDC on a key issue.
What parents should know about the AAP's recommendations for COVID vaccines this fall.
And a stretch of nice weather has started. Jacob Montesano tells us how long it will last in his forecast.
Plus, Hurricane Erin won't make landfall, but could bring dangerous conditions to parts of the U.S. We'll tell you where when we come back.
Traffic alert. There's a full closure on I-39 northbound at US 51 due to a crash. The on-ramp from US 51 southbound to I-39 northbound is also closed. We'll keep our eyes on this crash and bring you the updates right here on News 3 Now live at 4.
Well, for beef lovers, it is hard to top the mighty brisket.
But here's the thing, it takes such a long time to make it, so leftovers are encouraged. Angie Horkin from the Wisconsin Beef Council is here with some delicious ways to use those leftovers.
Hi, Angie.
Hello. Yeah, so the checkoff came up with some creative ways to take smoked brisket if you don't eat it all at the first sitting or the first meal, because it is big, and if you just smoke one maybe for your family, not for a large get-together, you're going to have a lot of meat.
It's a labor of love.
And it is a labor of love. It takes a long time. You need to be patient. I smoked this one this morning, and it was a little over 5 pounds, and it was about $6 a pound. So
it's pretty economical.
Yeah, it's not too bad because it does shrink up a little bit in the smoker, but you still have a lot of beef, and you can have a great meal, and then you can have planned over meals instead of maybe just having this, the brisket over and over again. We're going to take it and we're going to make a salad and taquitos.
Okay.
So let's start here.
Very pretty salad, by the way.
Yeah, perfect for summer.
I know. This is called our heirloom tomato and burrata cheese salad with crispy brisket. Now, the recipe on the website calls to take the brisket chunks and deep fry them a couple minutes and then make them crispy. But I found with traveling that doesn't work. You need to eat them right away. Otherwise, they get a little too hard. So I did not do that, but it's super delicious just with the chunked up kind of leftover, planned over smoked beef brisket, and it calls for heirloom tomatoes, so I did grab those, but you definitely don't have to. And then burrata cheese, which is just heavenly. Fresh mozzarella with kind of that cream and shredded mozzarella in the inside. basil, and then it's kind of like a caprese salad. So then you just put on your nice extra virgin olive oil, and I just purchased balsamic glaze.
Oh, that's great.
I kind of like that. Adds a little sweet. So the flavors are amazing with the fresh tomatoes, which are perfect right now here in Wisconsin. That basil, the hot umami, the protein from the brisket, and then that delicious, creamy, divine burrata.
You're making us hungry.
This is like a proper meal here.
We have to tear into this. It is delicious.
How long, by the way, did it take you to cook a 5-pound brisket?
So my smoker that I have is fast. It took me 6 hours. But I know a lot of recipes, like if you get like an 8-pound, which is almost a half, a full brisket can be 15, 16 pounds. It might take up to 12 hours.
Wow.
Can you season it however you want?
So this recipe is with our epic brisket flat sandwich, and it has a great seasoning on it. It's just pepper, black pepper, white pepper, kosher salt, onion powder, and garlic powder.
Easy peasy.
It is very easy peasy. I mean, kind of everybody's got those seasonings already, but it is super good.
Yeah.
Now,
And
how'd
this
you
is
make the
fun one.
taquitos?
Okay,
Yeah.
so taquitos. So I took about 2 cups of shredded leftover brisket, so about a pound, and then mixed with a half of a chunk of cream cheese, a jalapeno, some pepper jack cheese, a little salsa. That's about it. And kind of made that creamy filling. And then used corn tortillas and made them in the air fryer.
Oh, that's nice.
So warm up your corn tortillas so I think the sugars in there kind of get gummy,
Yeah.
and then you can roll them a little better.
You can work with them better.
Yeah, otherwise
Yeah.
they get a little
They break.
crumbly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just kind of put them in between 2 damp paper towels in the microwave, did about 45 seconds.
Good
And then
idea.
I can only fit 4 or 5 in my air fryer at a time. But then there's a delicious avocado cream. It uses non-fat Greek yogurt, kind of a dipping sauce on the website
Oh,
too.
great idea.
On beeftips.com this month, I've got a link to these recipes and all of our smoked beef recipes, brisket recipes, and then some other fun ways to use up that leftover, planned over smoked brisket.
Well,
So-
these are
for the week.
Yeah, these are great for back to school.
Yeah.
Now with kids back in sports, you can eat it all week.
Yeah, and cost per serving. So if you were to head out and shop for the taquitos, $1.35 per taquito if you make 12 with the recipe, and that's using like a $6, $6.50 brisket. And then the salad, it's about $25 for the ingredients for the heirloom tomatoes and the burrata, but about $6 per serving.
Very nice.
great.
Thank
So
you, Angie.
yeah.
economical.
Delicious and saving money. What could be better?
Before we go, remind us, where can they find those recipes?
Beeftips.com.
Perfect. Thank
Thanks,
you very
Ange.
much.
Good to
You're
see you.
welcome.
All right, fire up your smokers and make some brisket tonight. It's pretty nice out there, Jacob.
Yeah, and it's going to remain very nice for really the foreseeable future. Very little chance of rain with very comfortable temperatures. Really, the only hazard will be the fact that we're going to have some foggy mornings the next couple of days, but nothing too awful. Just visibilities will be fairly low. And specifically, as we look towards next week, we are going to be seeing some cooler temperatures, almost fall-like temperatures, especially for Sunday and Monday. Now, I do want to start with the visibility forecast. You can see visibilities will drop a little bit for tomorrow morning, as we will see that fog roll in, and this is going to be the case for Thursday morning as well. More fog rolling in, and again, this is really the only even remotely hazardous weather that we're expecting going forward, as a lot of sunshine is expected with very comfortable temperatures. So looking specifically at the precipitation chances, very, very small chance of rain for the day tomorrow, but it will just be in the form of very light sprinkles. And then we have a little bit of an increase Friday night, but for the most part, not going to see much during that time frame either. So looking at the temperatures, we saw highs near 80 today. Tomorrow, though, they're going to be in the middle 70s for the most part, at least for Madison and areas to the east. Might still get near 80 for places near the Mississippi River, but it will be a little bit cooler. And overall, looking at the temperatures the next 10 days, they're not really going to get into the 80s much. They might get close to it for Thursday, Friday, but for the most part, we're going to stay in the 70s, and then early next week, we may be seeing high temperatures in the upper 60s, which hasn't happened since late May. So this is really the first sign that fall is kind of right around the corner. And at this point in time, there's no sign of those temperatures warming back up. This goes through the day after Labor Day. The 8 to 14 day temperature outlook shows below normal temperatures very likely across our area. So it is certainly going to feel fall-like for next week and possibly possibly beyond as well. And then overall, looking at the 10-day forecast, a lot of sunshine, very, very low chances of rainfall. Humidity levels will also be fairly low with the dry air. So if you really, what you could do is just take a dart and throw it at the 10-day forecast, and that would be a perfect day to spend time outside. It is going to be that nice, and it's also a perfect combination in the sense that even though we're not going to see any rainfall, we've seen so much rain lately that we have no concern of drought conditions forming.
Thank you, Jacob. And now let's get a live look at Delaware, one of the states where Hurricane Erin is creating unsafe conditions. Not a good day to go to the beach today. The state is prohibiting swimming at its beaches due to powerful and dangerous rip currents.
Now, it's not just Delaware awaiting some dangerous conditions.
North Carolina's Outer Banks are bracing for the storm's impact. Usher Qureshi has more.
Were it not for the red flags flapping, you wouldn't know a hurricane is coming, as beachgoers in Kitty Hawk went about their day of fun and sun. Over at Wrightsville Beach, the water is off limits, with rip currents forcing people to stick to the sand.
I can't tell you what exactly to do, except don't get into the ocean. That's got to be the #1 message across, up and down the entire North Carolina coast, is just do not get in the ocean.
Tourists on the Outer Banks evacuated yesterday, and residents are headed to the mainland today with a tropical storm watch and warning in effect. Forecast to grow in size, Erin won't make landfall, but is still expected to bring heavy rain and dangerous surf and potentially cut off the islands.
Beaches in North Carolina have banned swimming all week after dozens of rescues on Monday. Red flag warnings are expected all along the East Coast, from Florida to New England.
Authorities in New Jersey and on New York's Long Island aren't taking any chances, following the death of a swimmer at the Jersey Shore last week.
This is no time to be complacent. I would just say to you flat out, don't go in the water.
Residents can expect life-threatening rip currents, large waves and surf, potentially reaching up to 10 to 12 feet, widespread dune erosion, and localized coastal flooding.
Coastal flooding is something all too familiar for Outer Banks residents, and Erin's timing is forcing some summer vacationers to make other plans. Usher Qureshi, CBS News, Kitty Hawk, North Carolina.
Coming up on Live at 4, a new report has insight on whether wages are keeping up with inflation.
And how birth control's over-the-counter availability is impacting Americans. Your home might get more expensive soon. This morning, Home Depot announced it might need to raise some of its prices because of President Trump's taxes on foreign imports. Just under half of Home Depot's goods come from outside the U.S., so not everything will become more expensive due to tariffs.
A new study shows wages still have not caught up with inflation. Bankrate's 2025 wage to inflation index shows since 2021, the average American earns 1.2% below the increased cost of living. The study also shows some professions are falling more behind than others. Educators saw the biggest gap between income growth and inflation during the past 4 years. This as Americans remain sour about the economy, with more than half rating it as either very or fairly bad.
Air Canada workers could be getting back to work soon. The airline and the union representing flight attendants came to a tentative agreement today that stranded passengers. Around 10,000 flight attendants went on strike Saturday, demanding higher wages and pay when planes are grounded. Air Canada's proposal offers a 38% pay increase over 4 years and an hourly raise between 12 and 16% in the first year. Union members still need to vote on the proposal. If they reject it, the strike could resume.
To Wall Street now, the Dow gained 10 points. The Nasdaq dropped 315 points. The S&P 500 dropped 38 points.
In a significant break with the Centers for Disease Control, the American Academy of Pediatrics is recommending that children get the COVID vaccine. Earlier this year, the CDC overhauled previous guidelines that recommended kids ages 6 months to 17 get the vaccine. Instead, the CDC said whether kids that age get the vaccine should be based on shared clinical decision making. The new AAP recommendations are more explicit.
Infants and kids between 6 and 23 months should get the vaccine unless they have a known allergy. All children between 2 and 18 years of age should get a single dose if they are at high risk of severe COVID, are residents of long-term care facilities or other group-type settings, have never been vaccinated against COVID and whose household contacts are at high risk for severe COVID.
New research shows that nearly 2 years after the FDA approved over-the-counter birth control, many people who didn't have access to contraception before now use it. More than a quarter of people now using the oral contraceptive were not using a modern method of birth control before. People who rely on the over-the-counter pill, which does not require a prescription, are more likely to be uninsured adolescents and living in rural areas. More research is needed to see whether the uptick had an impact on unintended pregnancy rates. Well, after a train derailment last Friday, tracks in Lowell are back open.
Ellie La Liberté talks with an excavator about what it took to clean up the mess when Live at 4 continues.
You're watching News 3 Now, Live at 4, moving forward.
The tracks from a train derailment in Dodge County are now back open.
Last Friday, about 30 of 95 cars a Canadian Pacific train was carrying derailed in rural Lowell. Ellie La Liberté introduces us to a Dodge County excavator who helped with the cleanup.
All hands on deck. That's how one Dodge County man described the effort it took to clean up that train derailment. He was called into the job site at about 10 p.m. on Friday, didn't leave until 4:30 in the morning.
It was definitely something new for me. I've never been a part of anything like that before.
Mitchell Lauersdorf is a plumber by day, but last Friday his father's excavation company got a call to help clean up this, a train carrying crude oil.
There was a lot of different people there, a lot of different companies. Just everybody working around the clock, everybody firing on all cylinders to try to get that mess cleaned up as soon as possible.
A CPKC spokesperson wrote in a statement to News 3 Now that environmental and hazmat teams are still on site, but, quote, the involved cars have been secured and staged for offloading, adding that cleanup work to fully remediate the site and remove the rail cars will be ongoing in the coming days. The cause of the derailment is still under investigation by the National Transportation Safety Board. Reporting in Dodge County, Ellie La Liberté, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Ellie. This is the second time in recent years a train derailment has happened on that section of track. Thankfully, no one was injured in the incident. Let's get a look at your first warn forecast. Here's meteorologist Jacob Montesano.
Thanks, Brady. The story today has been dry weather, and that is going to be the story moving forward. Overall, a very quiet day with the exception of some of that fog earlier this morning. Temperatures very close to normal, upper 70s, low 80s. A little bit cooler as you get closer to Lake Michigan, a little bit warmer further west towards the Mississippi River. It is still a little humid out there, but overall, most of the dew points are staying in the 60s, and those dew points are going to continue to lower and lower as the air becomes drier. And then next week, the temperatures may be in the 60s. So overall, it is going to continue to feel a lot better. Also, I've been seeing some calm winds throughout the day. Like I said, pretty quiet, and that's going to continue for the most part. As we look at the evening forecast, 70s with partly to mostly cloudy skies. We'll see a little bit more cloud cover move back into the area overnight, and we also will see another morning of some foggy conditions. And really, the foggy weather will be kind of the biggest story for the next couple of days, as there is a very low chance of rain with very comfortable temperatures. Tomorrow, likely going to be a little bit cooler compared to today. But I'll talk more in detail about the potentially fall-like temperatures that are in the forecast next week. Those details are coming up a bit later.
Thank you, Jacob. The Federal Emergency Management Agency will be in Wisconsin on Thursday to assess damage from this month's severe storms. It comes just hours after Wisconsin's U.S. representatives and senators requested an expedited damage assessment from the agency. Representative Brian Stile previously sent a letter to Homeland Security last week.
Video here shows just how much rain Wisconsin had to deal with. The state was inundated with rain. The Milwaukee area was particularly hard hit.
And 3 people are without a home after this tree fell Monday afternoon. Madison fire crews responded to Flat Avenue on the southwest side just before 1 o'clock after a storm swept through the area. Everyone living in the home was able to get out safe and uninjured. The tree is no longer on the roof, but everyone who lived there had to relocate.
Meritor is expanding its addiction treatment services. The hospital's evening outpatient addiction services will return next Monday, August 25th. Licensed therapists and substance abuse counselors will be available during the evening sessions. Meritor says the program includes group therapy, education, and peer support. The program operates 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, from 3:30 to 6:30 p.m. If you're interested in participating in the program or learning more about it, you can contact the program's team. The number is 608-417-8144.
Well, the Packers are just a few weeks away from the start of their season.
Our senior Packers writer Jason Wilde is in Green Bay with what happened at today's practice.
You know, there's an old saying in the NFL, the more you can do, and Packers kicker Brandon McManus took that message to heart today. Now, the veteran kicker only kicks every other day to rest his leg during training camp, and today was one of his off days. So he spent his off day not just watching practice, but officiating it. He showed up at practice dressed in full referee regalia. He had the shirt, the pants, the hat, the whole deal. And he even made some calls, including a pass interference penalty that he called on Keyshawn Nixon, the Packers cornerback, who definitely did not agree with that call. That's the kind of coverage you get at channel3000.com for free. Now, we cover the serious football stuff as well, including Jordan Love's comeback from his thumb surgery. We have all of that at channel3000.com. And make sure while you're there, you sign up for our daily Packers newsletter. That allows you to get our coverage delivered directly to your inbox every single day. That's it from here at Lambeau Field. Back to you in the studio.
Jason, thank you. Even though our Stuff the Bus campaign is over now, there's still time to help us make sure that Dane County kids have everything they need for the upcoming school year. You can sign up to volunteer for distribution later this week. Right now, sorting is underway. On Thursday, we'll be giving out all of the supplies. A link to volunteer is available online. Just head to channel3000.com, scroll down to In the 608, and click on our Back to School Drive Volunteers Needed story.
Well, an anti-sunscreen campaign is taking off on TikTok.
Dr. Jeff Potoff from UW Health will join us to set the record straight, and we'll talk about how it can help protect you from melanoma.
And Jacob Monsanto is tracking some quiet conditions, but will the rain come back? We'll find out in the First Warn forecast. Plus, following a series of high-stakes meetings, what the White House is saying about the president's plans to help end the war between Russia and Ukraine. We have some more breaking news. The Wisconsin Department of Health Services is encouraging people to check their vaccination status after a possible measles exposure in Beloit. The DHS says the exposure is from an out-of-state traveler who visited Chicago. The exposure happened at the Pilot Travel Center, number 289 on Milwaukee Road in Beloit. This was on August 4th, between the hours of 11:45 and 2:30. If you were there during those times, check whether you have the MMR vaccine.
The White House says it is trying to arrange a face-to-face meeting between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and Russian President Vladimir Putin. The announcement follows a day of meetings between President Trump, Zelensky, and key European allies, after which the president spoke with Putin on the phone. At a press conference today, the White House press secretary talked about what security guarantees would look like if a deal is made.
The president has definitively stated U.S. boots will not be on the ground in Ukraine, but we can certainly help in the coordination and perhaps provide other means of security guarantees to our European allies.
Another key issue that still needs to be settled for the war to end is what should happen to Ukrainian territory that Russian forces have seized. This morning, the president said Zelensky may need to show some flexibility when it comes to that.
A video shows people in Gaza scrambling to reach airdropped aid today as the region deals with starvation due to Israel's blockade. The latest airdrops come as Hamas said it has accepted a new proposal from mediators for a ceasefire. Israel hasn't approved the latest proposal and has announced plans to reoccupy Gaza. That could raise the possibility of a worsening humanitarian catastrophe in the region, which experts say is sliding into famine.
Coming up on Live at 4, Jacob has a look at your First Warn forecast.
And Dr. Jeff Potoff joins us to talk about the steps that you should take to avoid melanoma.
Is the most common form of cancer in the U.S. That's according to the CDC. It affects 1 in 5 people.
Yeah, Brandon Blackstock, Kelly Clarkson's ex-husband and Reba McEntire's stepson, recently died from melanoma at the age of 48. And this is shining a spotlight on the most dangerous form of skin cancer.
And at the same time, you may have seen this on social media, an anti-sunscreen movement is growing on several social media sites. UW Health's Dr. Jeff Potoff is here this afternoon. Hi, Dr. Potoff.
Hey,
good to see you.
Yeah, same.
So who is most at risk for melanoma?
Well, I mean, everyone's at risk for melanoma, but if you look at people who are at a little bit higher risk, if you're very fair-skinned, certainly like if you're redheaded, you have less melanin in your skin, less protection. And then people who spend a lot of time outdoors, lots of exposure. Certainly if you use a tanning booth, I feel like those aren't so common anymore, but I mean, that's pretty high risk activity for developing skin cancer too.
How does it present itself in the different skin tones? And I always wonder, like, is every little mole or growth something to keep an eye on?
Yeah, it's tricky because all of us will have kind of like benign nevus, so kind of like those brown spots. What you want to do is you just kind of want to know where you have them on your body, and then make sure they don't change. So typically what we look for is something that maybe was there before, but now it's changing color, like it's got a couple different shades of brown or black and brown. It's getting maybe a little bit bigger, like bigger than like 1/4 of an inch. The borders of it, instead of being nice and smooth, it's getting a little bit irregular. Those can be signs that something is more like a melanoma and not just a benign nevus.
It's interesting because a lot of social media sites now are claiming that sunscreen may actually be contributing to an increase in skin cancer cases. How is that possible?
It's not technically. I mean, it's not possible. That's not true. I think this is where a lot of misinformation starts. There's like a 1% kernel of something that was true, and then it's morphed into this generalized statement. So where the misinformation around sunscreen comes from is a couple of years ago there was spray sunscreen and the propellant had benzene in it.
Yeah.
That was recalled off the market. Benzene absolutely causes cancer. The misinformation is there's benzene in sunscreen and it causes cancer. There is not. So there's some like studies that look at mice who get chemical sunscreens, and at very high levels it can cause some hormone dysregulation. In humans that doesn't actually seem to happen. So all sunscreen is essentially safe for humans. If you're even a little bit worried about that, just use like the mineral sunscreens. You'll look for zinc oxide, titanium dioxide, super effective, completely safe. Doesn't cause cancer. In fact, the opposite. It prevents cancer like melanoma, which, as we saw in the intro, devastating. A 48-year-old man dead because he had melanoma.
Yeah, there's probably a fine line too, because like certain influencers who are maybe more holistic, you know, they talk about ridding yourself of chemicals and whatnot, but then there are certain things like you mentioned that you probably need to protect yourself. How do you, I guess, do your research when you see posts like that?
I think it's tricky. Like, just because someone has an opinion or a lot of followers doesn't mean they're right. So what we need to do is you got to go to medical literature, so not just like anything you find on the internet, and look into this stuff. Now, you can try to do that yourself, but it's actually a pretty impressive skill set. So instead, talk to your pediatrician or talk to your doctor. We went to school for decades to learn how to do this, and trust me, we're not out to get you. We're out there to help you. Like, that's why we like our job. So talk to people who are professionals, who are experts in this. They will lead you in the right direction, but absolutely we should be using sunscreen, not taking chances with melanoma. No one wants that.
That's great advice, and I don't know if you've noticed on a lot of sunscreens, they don't always list all of the ingredients. And even if they do, sometimes it's things that you don't even recognize.
Right.
You know, is there an SPF, a basic SPF that you have to have?
Yeah, so SPF you want to be at 30. So at an SPF of 30, you're blocking 97% of those UVA, UVB rays. At 50, you're only getting to 98%. So if you think you need to spend an extra $5 for 50 instead of 30, don't worry about it. The big thing is you got to reapply it. So most sunscreens last about 2 hours. If you're out in the sun for more than 2 hours, just put another layer on.
Thank you for having this conversation with us.
Yes, very important. Thanks, Dr. Potoff. Good to see you.
Same.
And a lot of you will be going outside. We have some nice weather.
The sun is out today, actually.
Here's Jacob with our forecast.
Thanks, guys. As we take a look at the 3 things you need to know, we're going to see a lot of sunshine with comfortable temperatures, but specifically next week, we actually are going to see fall-like temperatures. But I do want to start with some foggy conditions that are expected again later tonight into tomorrow morning, and then again for tomorrow night. So taking a look at the visibility forecast, we'll see a lot of the area drop to around a mile, if not a little bit less. So definitely just take it a little bit easy on your way to work or wherever you may be going during the morning hours. That will clear up very very quickly for the afternoon, but then come back into the area for Wednesday night into Thursday. Now, the good news, as I talked about, we are going to remain dry, so in every case, the afternoon hours will be pretty good. So overnight lows will drop into the middle and upper 60s. With that cloud cover, it'll keep temperatures a little bit mild. But tomorrow, the temperatures will be a little bit cooler compared to today. Highs will be in the middle 70s for Madison, still near 80 further west, but also in the lower 70s further east. And looking at the temperature forecast for the next 10 days, it is going to warm up a little bit again for Thursday, Friday, but still remaining at the warmest, near 80 degrees. And then early next week, it's going to really cool down, and we're going to see some of our coolest air we've seen in months. Upper 60s are in the forecast for Sunday and Monday. And although we are going to warm up a little bit for the middle of next week, we're still going to be a little bit below normal with highs in the middle to lower 70s. And at this point in time, if we look at the temperature forecast and extend it to beyond just the next 10 days, this goes through the day after Labor Day. It still suggests we're going to see below normal temperatures for our area and really a lot of the United States. Really the entire Midwest, Great Lakes region into the Northeast expected to be below normal. And we're also going to be very dry during this time, especially for that Great Lakes region. So we're going to continue to see very, very nice weather. It really is a perfect storm of just a great 10-day forecast because all sunshine, all dry weather, and because of how much rain we've seen, at least right now, there's no concern of drought conditions forming. So definitely just enjoy the weather. That is the story. Really, again, the only thing we're going to be seeing is that fog during some of the mornings. But
we are looking ahead to fall and, yes, winter right now.
It's coming. The Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra announced today it will put on a Charlie Brown Christmas with Strings in November. The program features the Vince Guaraldi classic, A Charlie Brown Christmas, arranged for strings with performances by the WCO alongside Mr. Chair, a Madison-based jazz trio. The Vince Guaraldi trio is best known for creating the Peanuts soundtrack. Mr. Chair consists of piano, bass, and drums. Ticket prices range from $25 to $65. They go on sale Friday on Ticketmaster. Mark your calendar. The concert is November 29th at 3 p.m. Well, the Brewers may have lost their game against the Cubs this afternoon, but they have another chance tonight. It's a doubleheader, and the game kicks off at 7:05. You can watch it right here on TVW.
Very nice. At least you can take some solace in the beautiful weather out there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, the next 10 days, I mean, not only is the 10-day forecast just looking great, but the fact that we've seen so much rainfall, there's no concern about drought conditions forming with the amount of dry weather we will see. So definitely just enjoy the weather. That really is all that needs to be said with the weather words because, I mean, little upper 70s, so a little bit warm and then a little bit cooler for next week. So a little bit of everything for everyone, I'd say.
Take the next 10 days off, Jim. We'll be right back.
Now, tomorrow on Live at 4, Josh Sprider has 3 things for you and your family to do in the 608. And coming up on News 3 now at 5, how the WIAA's newly established foundation will impact local student athletes. Well, thanks for joining us today on Live at 4. We hope to see you back here tomorrow, same time, same place. And remember, you can always catch us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000+. News 3 now at 5 starts right now.